So I woke up this morning to a fantastic surprise. It seems that the first Strike decks for Aurora and Terra have officially been released the day before Gen Con. So now we get to see what are inside the decks, kind of how some of these cards play, and more importantly, how these two new heroes will affect tons of people around the world as they learn how to play Flesh and Blood. Welcome on in, Dragon Folk. It is such a pleasure to see you all here today. It's officially the day before Gen Con, which means we get more spoilers for Flesh and Blood. The first Strike decks that had been announced prior, which was the first Strike for Aurora and first Strike for Terra, were a mystery until today. I woke up and I found out that the lists have been revealed on Flesh and Blood's website through their card database. So if you want to go ahead and check that out, I will leave the links to both of these deck lists in the description down below. But more importantly, what we're going to get to do today is look over what these heroes are supposed to do in a beginner situation. Now, obviously, their playstyle will be different compared to its classic instructed or really even its blitz form. But what these decks are supposed to do is they're supposed to be for beginners to play into one another, to learn the nuances of Flesh and Blood in a very, very easy way without any kind of overload of information. So we're going to go over the deck list, talk about some of the new cards that we see released, cards that I'm sure we are going to be seeing inside Rosetta, and talk a little bit about strategy for these heroes. And maybe when I actually get the decks in person, I'll make sure to go ahead and do a kind of a how to play video for Aurora and for Terra in this situation. So let's go ahead and take a look. There are 29 cards in here. Some of them I'm sure are going to have doubles, so I'm not too sure how many copies are of what card, but there are quite a few details in here that I enjoy a lot, and we'll just kind of go over every single card. So Aurora being the main card in the set, the hero of the set. You have pay 2 to create an embodiment of lightning token. Activate this ability only if you played a lightning card this turn. So you have to play a lightning card as Aurora, an elemental runeblade hero, in order for you to activate her ability, which is then just pay 2 to create an embodiment of lightning, which makes your next attack action get go again. Then we find out a little bit more about her weapon, Starfall. Starfall, her weapon says once per turn action, pay 1 to attack for 1 power. And then if you played a lightning card this turn, this card gets +1 and go again. So the card's attacks get +1 and go again, more specifically. So you have to play a lightning card, and then you can pay 1 and then attack with this. This is a lightning runeblade weapon, so it can only be used for her or for Briar if you're looking to try out some Briar stuff. But this is a great way to utilize any, like, if lightning card does damage, do X thing, because Starfall is a lightning weapon. So if it cares about attacks and not attack actions, do remember that Starfall is a weapon there. You then also come with some pretty good equipment, right? Ironrot Helm and Ironrot Legs have been great defensive equipment, right? They pretty much just block. That's their whole thing. Nothing special about it. Blossom of Spring allows you to gain a resource. I love more printings of Blossom of Spring. It's a super great card for commoner. And honestly, it's just the poor man's Findell Spring Tunic for a one-time use kind of deal. And then Aether Crackers, this new arm piece that we have here for Runeblades, which says when an attack you control hits a hero, you may destroy this, and if you do, deal 1 arcane damage to them. So, Aether Crackers, brand new card to the set, and it's also really great to note that all of the cards in here are rare or lower. So, if you are looking to play Clash with any of these cards, you certainly can. If you're looking to bring a lot of this into Commoner, there are a lot of common cards available as well. So for instance, all this equipment is available in Commoner. So very, very nice to see. So now let's get into the main deck. Again, it seems that the purpose of this deck is to start out every single turn by playing a lightning card, or at instant speed, playing a lightning card in response to something. So for instance, if you went to go attack with Starfall for 1, and if you played a lightning card this turn, this attack gets +1 and go again, you can attack with it. Your opponent can choose blocks, and then you can go ahead and choose at instant speed to play an instant speed lightning card, and this will get +1 and go again, and you will have completed the requirement for you to have played a lightning card during that turn. But let's just take a look at the cards themselves, what you're looking at, and what you're expecting out of this. So Crackling is a new card here. I'm going to see if I can maybe make this just a bit bigger for everybody. There we go. So Crackling is a 0 for 3 attack, an elemental runeblade action attack. It blocks 3, and it says if you played a lightning card this turn, this gets +1. It looks like they are utilizing the keyword lightning flow instead of lightning fusion now. They've moved away a little bit from the fusion mechanic from Tales of Aria, where you had to show a card from your hand of the required element, and then it would allow it to get an additional ability. But in this instance, as long as you have just played a lightning card, you will be getting the ability to get their buff. So for instance, here you pay a 0 for 3 attack, but if you played a lightning card this turn, it gets +1. So this is a 0 for 4, no go again, but you do have the ability to create an embodiment of lightning token, so that is very nice. Fry is a 0 for 3 attack, go again card that is a lightning action attack. So something they also did here, which I don't know if you've seen, I'm not sure if they did this with Aria Blitz decks, but they made it really simple to show you what cards are lightning cards by putting this little emblem on the cards. So anytime you see this emblem, you know it is a lightning card, and that is a required starter for your turn if you want to get the most value out of your abilities. So Fry, 0 for 3, go again. So you even right here, you can look at you. So you play Fry, you pitch a blue to Aurora's ability, pay 2 to then go ahead and create a embodiment of lightning token, attack with your weapon for 2, go again because you played a lightning card, and then you can play a crackling for 0 for 4. So you're already looking at, what is that, 3, 5, 9 damage in just this combo alone off of 1 blue resource. Not to mention you could also just use the concept of go again in plenty of your other cards here as well. So we'll go over, continue the rest of the deck list, talk over some stuff. I'm getting too technical with it. I think a lot of people are excited just to see the cards, so we'll start there. So here we have Heaven's Claw. We've seen Heaven's Claw before, a 1 for 5 for lightning. So pretty great, like turn ender if you're trying to just end your turn. I think it's really great that Heaven's Claw doesn't have any text on it. Although granted, the text I believe was just flavorful. In Aria, they decided to remove that text strictly because, the lore isn't entirely the concept of a brand new starter deck. The overall function of the card is what matters. And so if there's no text here, it's easier for a player to read. Lightning Surge we've seen also. This is a great card for a lightning deck. 0 for 4, go again if it was played from Arsenal. So you can start with this. It's a lightning action. So you can start your turn by playing this and then go into any of your combo pieces here. Photon Rush, this is a new card for the Elemental Runeblades here. It's a 0 for 3, block 3, red. It says Lightning Flow. If you played a lightning card this turn, this gets go again. So this is another step in the right direction for a long chain link. Static Shock is a 0 for 4, block 3, red card. That says Lightning Flow. When this hits a hero, if you've played a lightning card this turn, deal 1 arcane damage to them. So this is really cool because you can utilize this breakpoint here at 4 power to help get that additional damage off. Your opponent's going to have to block a little bit better and just kind of go from there. The art's also really cool, I gotta say. I don't know if that's Aurora, but this is a really cool looking art. The next card is Harness Lightning, a 0 block 2 elemental runeblade action that says Lightning Flow. If you've played a lightning card this turn, deal 3 arcane damage to target hero. So you can also end your turn by utilizing some arcane damage, or being able to find a way to, play this at an instant speed somehow. But this is probably going to be a chain ender where you're going to go attack, 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 arcane damage. And that's kind of the overall concept there. Sizzle is a 0 for block 2 lightning action. Your next lightning or elemental attack this turn gets +3 and then go again. So you can even utilize something like this on your weapon. This is a next lightning or elemental attack. Your weapon is a lightning runeblade sword. So you can play this, have it get +3, and then get another +1 because this is a lightning action. So it'll technically get +4 and go again. So this is a 1 for 5. Go again, and then into other cards that care about the fact that you played a lightning card. So another great turn starter here. Crackling, we've already gone over that. There's the yellow copy of it in here. Fry, yellow copy. Heaven's Claw, yellow copy. Lightning Surge, yellow copy. Yellow Static Shock, Harness Lightning, Sizzle. A new card here, Spark Spray, which is a 0 cost 3 lightning attack action for blocking 2. That says when this is defended by 1 or more cards, you may pay a resource. If you do, this gets +1. So in most cases, this isn't going to be defended by 1 or more cards. But if you're going against another Runeblade, for instance, a lot of the stuff in this deck seems to block for 2. So blocking for 2 to try and block out some additional stuff, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to pay that resource there. But I guess if it's defended by 1 or more cards, if it's just blocked by 1 3 block, you can pay a resource to have it come into 4. So if you're looking to guarantee an on hit, you can use another resource, but we'll see how often that ends up happening. Cloud Cover is a lightning instant. So again, you can also stack this on top of an ability that cares about giving your card go again if you've played a lightning card, and you can play that. So this says Cloud Cover, 0 cost instant, says the next time you would be dealt damage this turn, prevent 2 of that damage. So you're probably not going to be playing something like this on your own turn. But if you have any other cards that care about whether or not you played a lightning card, it might be a good thing. And you could also, of course, still play this on your turn if you are just looking to do a lightning instant thing, if you have no other lightning cards in your hand. But this is definitely a nice preventative measure. Photon Rush, we've gone over this. Spark Spray, and then the addition of Lightning Press, target attack action card with cost 1 or less gets +1. So that's a nice little lightning instant. This is probably one you're going to be using on your attacks, whereas this one's going to be used more so for defense, the Cloud Cover. Then, of course, you do have an embodiment of lightning, but more importantly, what we see here is something that we did not see in the Armory starter decks, which is Spell Fray equipment with Spell Void. Now, in this situation, it makes sense because if your opponent is going to be doing arcane damage to you in a set where you only have these 2 heroes, technically, you're going to want something to change out. But this goes to show that if you're going to teach somebody something new, you can put Spell Void in there for sure. I would imagine they're going to hopefully do something like this for the Armory decks down the line, but this is a nice little include to at least have Spell Void 2. So in case you're going against another Aurora, I don't even know. I don't think Terra can do any arcane damage, so don't worry about all that. But I think her kit's really good. It plays a lot like a ninja, honestly, with a lot of go again. It's like attack, 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 and then combo finisher can be like arcane damage. I kind of like how she plays. I think she's going to be very, very fun. And I think she's going to do a lot more in Classic Constructed than we think, simply because now we don't have to worry about the non-attack action and then attack action and then do a thing, right? This just seems to be play an attack, play an attack, play an attack, play instant, right? And I think that's kind of where people hope this is going to go. So very cool to see that the Aurora deck is all here. So that's the entirety of the Aurora deck. Let's move on to another hero that we are not going to see any of in Rosetta, which is actually going to be Terra. Terra is the Elemental Guardian and the opponent to Aurora in the first Strike decks. Terra simply says that at the beginning of each end phase, if there is an Earth card in your pitch zone, you can pay 1 resource, and if you do, create a Might token. Might tokens were introduced a long while back, but it's essentially a token that goes onto your board, and then at the beginning of your next turn, they are destroyed, and they will give power to your next attack that you play. So even if it's just your weapon or if it's an attack action, it will get all of the Might tokens that you stacked up on your prior turn. So very, very good way to kind of utilize that go tall option. But let's check to see what's inside Terra's deck, because there's going to be new cards, right? The Redwood Hammer, once per turn action, pay 3 to attack. And if an Earth card was pitched to attack with this, the attack gets +1. So this is essentially just Earth's Titan Fist. Not much insane stuff out of it, so it's just kind of happened to be the case. Obviously, the deck is going to be filled with Earth cards, so you're going to want to try and utilize that. This is also a Earth Guardian weapon, so Earth attacks are affected by this. So if anything buffs an Earth attack, this is an Earth attack. Rotten Old Buckler is the shield for Terra here. Just a Blade Break 1, easy peasy. Iron Rod Helm, Blade Break 1, Iron Rod Legs, same as the prior deck with Aurora. Blossom of Spring, same with Aurora. And then Hard Knuckle, a new arms piece, a generic arms piece. It says when you play an attack action card, you may destroy this. If you do, the attack gets +1. So this doesn't happen in the attack reaction step. This happens in the attack step. So once you are playing an attack action card, you can destroy it to give it +1. This is going to be very helpful for some cards that I see over here, and probably overall a lot of Terra's game plan with the go tall strategy, the stack damage strategy. So let's move into the main deck, talk about some stuff, and give you some examples. So Bracken Wrap is a new card. I don't know why I clicked on it. You can see it here. It says Earth Bond. When this attacks, if an Earth card was pitched to play this, create a Might token. This is a 3-cost, 6-power attack that blocks for 3. So not really super great rate, but it is what it is. And you create a Might token if you pitched an Earth card. So a blue Earth card will pay for this entire cost. And it seems that's the Earth Bond concept, is they care more so about pitching the card that is specifically of the element outside of fusing, which was the prior thing that Aria did. Burgeoning is a card from Aria we've seen prior, and again we see that the Earth cards have specifically this elemental symbol here of a tree, claiming that they are Earth element cards. So that's going to be very helpful from a visual standpoint for a new player to make sure they are playing their Earth cards or knowing what cards to pitch to pay for Earth Bond abilities. So if this was played from Arsenal, it gets +1. So this is a 2-cost 7 attack for block 2. There's that trade-off, right? You have 3 block here, 2 block here. It costs 1 resource less and comes in for 1 more. So not a bad one, especially if you play it from Arsenal. It's kind of going to be one of those maybe chain enders. I don't think there's going to be a go wide deck, but even just being able to play this coming in for 7 is very strong. So especially if you have things that'll buff your attacks. Concuss is a card we've seen from heavy hitters. This gets a lot of use out of those Might tokens and also of Hard Knuckle, because when it hits a hero, if it has power greater than its base, they discard a card. So you pay 3, attack for 6, but that number is probably not going to be 6. It's probably going to be somewhere like 7 or 8. And because of that, if they hit, they end up discarding a card. So they're going to have to block with 3 cards almost to block out this entire ability. And I feel like that works out pretty good for Terra. Logfall is a new card that comes in, 3-cost, 5 power, 3 block. If an Earth card was pitched to play this, this gets overpower. Now, I gotta say, from a standpoint of a seasoned player, Logfall, not a very good card at all. At all. But overpower isn't bad, especially if you are running into decks that only have attack actions or actions in general. So there's no defense reactions or anything over on Aurora's side. So therefore, you're not looking to, you don't have to worry about using Dominate. You have Overpower instead. So same kind of concept, but overall its rate's really bad. So I don't think anybody's going to be running this in any kind of commoner deck or main deck or anything, but it is a card. So it exists. Strongwood, 3-cost, 6 power, 3 block. This has Earth Bond. If an Earth card was pitched to play this, this gets +1. So this, essentially a 3 for 7, if you're pitching a blue Earth card, which in most cases I'm sure you will be, and that will allow you to get additional power. So 7 is a great break point too. So if you're looking to just leak some damage through and make your opponent have to block inefficiently, that is certainly a way to do it. Autumn's Touch, a card we've seen from Aria. It's just a very good, fairly okay rate card. And it's a great earth card just to have because it blocks for 3. You're usually going to be using this to pitch, and then later on in the game, I'm sure you're going to be attacking with it. There's Bracken Wrap again, Logfall, Strongwood, all in yellow. Flourish is a new card, a 0-cost earth action that blocks for 2. It says the next time an attack would gain power this turn, instead it gains that much plus 3. So, and then it has Go again. So this is a great buff towards anything. Again, it says next time an attack would gain power, which means that you can use that on your weapon. Because if you pitch this for an earth, you can go ahead and swing for 7 on this hammer, as opposed to swinging for just 4, because you'll get an additional plus 3 if it would gain any power. So very, very nice addition there. Allows you to have some kind of weapon strategy in case you run out of cards in your deck. And you know, this also works incredibly well, I think, for anything, right? Because you are making might tokens most of the time, I believe. So if you use something like Flourish on a Concuss, this will come in for a whopping 10, if not more. And that is more than half your opponent's life total. So it's pretty important. Seeds of Strength is a new card. You pay 2, it blocks for 3. It's a Guardian action, create 2 might tokens. But if an Earth card was pitched to play this, instead create 3. So this is a great card to play at the end of your turn, or if you have nothing else available, for you to set up for your next turn to come in with a really, really big attack. Thrive is a 0-cost earth action that blocks for 2. It says if an attack would gain power this turn, instead it gains that much plus 1, go again. So this is incredibly good for all earth heroes in general. It is very cool to see that this is just another buff. You can play this, have something gain power. You want to utilize something like this with burgeoning, because what happens is I think this actually works with the might tokens the way I think it does too, because might tokens get destroyed and then it gives a power buff to your next played attack action. So theoretically, if you play Thrive and then you play an attack action, it'll get those might token buffs. It'll get another additional power from Thrive too. So if you're looking to just get to breakpoints, it's a great way to do it. Sigil of Shelter is a 0-cost Guardian instant, Guardian in general, mind you. The next time you would be dealt damage this turn, prevent 2 of that damage. So it's a great prevention ability. I don't know that it's better than something that's come out of Heavy Hitters, Slap Happy, I think, but obviously you want to keep the theme of Aria. So Sigil of Shelter, just being able to do that, very good card, but it's just for preventive damage. It's essentially Cloud Cover, but for Terra. Autumn's Touch Blue, this is the card you're going to be pitching in most cases. Again, most of these Earth cards you're going to want to pitch because they are what activate your Earth Bond, but by all means, you can play them if it's your only available option too. Concuss, again, we have a blue Concuss like we had a red Concuss, a blue Flourish, which gets +2. So that means a red Flourish will probably give +4 to the next time an attack would gain power. That's really, really good. Very powerful. There's Seeds of Strength again, Sigil of Shelter, Canopy Shelter, which is a new card, an Earth Block card. It says when this defends, create a might token. Now, something that is noted here in the tip section, which I'm thankful that they are actually putting this in the new product, and hopefully they put it on, future product as well. But block cards cannot be played from Arsenal for anything. The only reason these cards exist is to block, and they should only ever be in your hand, and then you can block with them. But this says, as a tip, don't put this in Arsenal. You can't defend with cards from Arsenal. So, while technically you could, if you are playing certain cards that allow you to defend if they are in Arsenal, Canopy Shelter is a block card. Block cards do not ever get played from Arsenal in most cases. So, this is a great tip for new players. And then if they want to find out about cards that can block from Arsenal, that are block cards, then they can always go ahead and check out the Tiger's Eye Reflex, because that is a card that has Ambush, which allows you to do quite literally that. So that's cool to see. Might tokens, and then Spellfrayed Tiara and Spellfrayed Leggings, again, to match the arcane damage. Again, it looks like there was not a lot of arcane damage in this product, or in the Terra more specifically. So Terra's not going to be doing any kind of arcane damage, but they're going to want to play these into Aurora. That way they can prevent some kind of arcane damage if need be. But otherwise, you're really just switching these two out for these two. So if you happen to get 4 decks, 2 Aurora and 2 Terra, if you are a Terra and you're playing into Aurora, you'd switch out your headpiece and your leg piece for this headpiece and this leg piece. But if you're playing Terra into Terra, you're going to want to keep the Iron Rod helm and then keep the Iron Rod legs strictly for the physical blocking potential. So that is pretty much the entirety of these decks. I feel like they both are very much so exactly what they're supposed to be. They just do the thing. Aurora, play a lightning card, go again, go again, go again, go again. Terra, play an earth card that allows you to get a buff to it by pitching an earth card, and then use any extra resources to gain might tokens or make might tokens with cards that you have, and then utilize any of those buffs on cards that care about having their power higher than its base. So Concuss is going to be a pretty big card for Terra, alongside a lot of the cards in the deck, because you're going to keep making more powerful turns, and especially if you're going into somebody like Aurora, where most of her cards seem to block for 2, it's going to be a lot harder for her to block out a lot of these abilities and these attack actions without having to use her whole hand. So we'll see which of these two end up coming out on top. I'd love to get both of these and end up trying them out and playing them with people and kind of teaching them a little bit about Flesh and Blood and how it works. But otherwise, I'm happy to see that the decks are very simplistic, no shiny special nonsense out of it. It's just very bare bones. One is a go wide, one is a go tall. That's what I expected out of these decks, and I'm happy to see it. Is it something that I think is going to hopefully truly teach new players how to play the game? I hope so, because this is a very thematic and fun way to do it, and it teaches you 2 different kind of strategies based on what deck you want to play. But in the end of the day, they still just look like blitz decks to me, and they could have just been blitz decks, but I'm happy to know that they're marketing these specifically towards new players, because I do think that these are easily understood. The keywords of Lightning Flow and Earthbond are really easy to get and work with, and I think that over time you're going to see these cards become more relevant in Guardians and in Runeblades, especially if people are looking to try out any of the older Aria heroes for any of these elements. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate your support. Again, I hope to have a video kind of going over some gameplay and play style of both of these decks as I get the product, but that won't be for a little while now. I don't think they actually come out into stores for another few weeks. So keep your eye out for those. But otherwise, if you're at Gen Con, go ahead and pick up some awesome stuff there. You can pick up both of these decks at Gen Con. You can also pick up an Azalea Armory deck, which I hope to make a video for soon enough. And yeah, that's kind of it. I want to get these into the hands of people who want them, and I'm very happy to go over and check them out and give a nice play-by-play. I'm sure LSS is making a play-by-play video like they do for their Blitz decks when they come out. So make sure to keep an eye out for that. If you haven't already, make sure to go ahead and hit that like button down below. Subscribe to the channel as well. It certainly helps me out a lot. You can even become a channel member and support the channel in a more loving way. I certainly appreciate it. All our channel members do get access to the Common Language podcast earlier than everybody else does. So if that's something that fancies you, please make sure to go ahead and check it out and support the channel. But otherwise, I hope you continue to have fun in the Flesh and Blood, and I will see you all very soon. All right, everyone, nerd out.